Hello and welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial we'll be setting up Distcc. This tutorial assumes you have Ubuntu server knowledge, have set up your two servers or however many servers you want really with static IP addresses, and you have a internet connection. You can see here that I have two virtual machines already set up. I'll be doing this in a virtual environment just because it's a lot easier. Now I won't be using these windows directly, instead I'll be using PuTTY to connect to each of these individual servers to set up Distcc. I have now connected to each of these servers individually with PuTTY, and to start with we'll be setting up the masternode. Just a quick disclaimer, this is not the best way to set these up. It's just a quick nasty way to do it, just to experiment with it and see if it's right for you or you just want to play around. So I have the master server connected up with PuTTY. Just going to log on now with it. So we're now connected. Now we need to install the compiler in Distcc. We'll do sudo apt-get install. So we'll do sudo apt-get install build essential. That's the compiler. Then Distcc, and that will install both of them at the same time. Don't need to put the password in again. And yes, we will do that. It will take a little while. And I will be back after this is complete. Okay, now we have installed those. As you can see here, you can't see my mouse. Right here, it's saying that we have Distcc installed. It just hasn't started yet. So, first thing we need to do, we need to cd to etc distcc. That's it. There we go. We've got the host file, which we need to edit. So we'll sudo nano hosts. Open this up. And all we have to do in here is comment out +0 config. Then we can save and then close it. Actually, that is incorrect. We need to go back in there and we need to add the node's IP address, which I know for me. Oh, numpad. Numpad. Oh fuck. I've destroyed it. Shit. Numpad doesn't work in PuTTY. How about that? So I'll put in my node's IP address. Okay. And we do a comma. And then we add these at the end. They're just flags that let it do certain different things, like zipping and just you can look these up if you want. It's up to you, but you know, you don't have to. You can just use these ones. Now we can save it and exit. All right, now we have that done. And now we need to start Distcc as a service on the server. Okay, before I forget, I noticed while I was troubleshooting for a mistyped IP address I had earlier, I noticed we missed something in the host file. So we need to log back in onto the master. And then, excuse me, need to edit the host file again. So sudo nano tc hosts. Alright, no, wrong file. Distcc hosts. And in here, you need to add local host. So you should see something similar to that. You need to put a space, then local host. And that will allow the Distcc to use both the remote node and the master. If you have multiple nodes, you don't need to use the host. You can just use all the nodes. I'm just using it for this example because otherwise it will won't run any actual fast. It will probably run a bit slower because it's got to do stuff on the network. So we'll save that. Alright. Alright, now we have the host set up. We can set up Distcc as a service. So we need to edit a file in the etc default Distcc. That's the file. Okay. Now start Distcc as a service needs to be set to true. And I do believe that is all we need to do in here. Alright. Save. Close. Now we can restart the server. Reboot. Alright, now back to the node. Okay, so I have the node here, need to log on. Once we've logged in, now we need to install the build essential for the compiler and Distcc as well. I'll have all these commands down in the description. I forgot Distcc. Oh. There we go. Password done. Alright, now we just need to install this. This will take a little while and I'll be back when this is completed. Okay, now that is completed. We just have to set up the defaults for this. We don't have to set up the host, just the defaults. So sudo, I use nano, you can use vi or whatever you want to use to edit the text file, it doesn't really matter. Probably spelled default wrong again. Aha. So we need to start Distcc again. It's true. Now allowed nets. These are the networks that will be used. My network for these machines is god damn it. Alright, that's numpad killing me. Alright, so we have 192.168.1.2, sorry. And then at the end we do a .0//24. And any IP address within that range will be used. And as you can see, it's fairly well described here. You can have separate hosts and networks, so you can have a node do different networks and different masters and stuff, so it is pretty flexible. Now the listener is the IP address which this machine will listen on for incoming requests. So put in its IP address, and I do believe that is all we have to do here. Yes, I do believe. Yes, it is. All right, save that. Then we'll reboot. Alright, now it's rebooting. We're going to do a test compile, and we're going to compile the Linux kernel with just the master server by itself, and then have the node help it basically. So we're going to test it and see what the actual difference is. So see what the difference. Okay, so we're back on the master server here, and the first thing we're going to do is log in, obviously. Now, once we've logged in, we are going to install Git. This is so we can get the Linux kernel. Let's let that go for a second. Now, the Linux kernel is rather large. I do believe it is a gig and a bit download to download off Git. So you can use any project you want to test this. I'm just using the Linux kernel because it's very large and it takes a fair while to install. Install, I mean compile. Alright, so we're just going to make a new directory, call it code, then we'll cd into code. I'm going to actually type code to go into it. So we're in the new directory, there's nothing in here. Now we need to git clone, then we need the address, which I am now getting, which is there. I'll have a link to that in the description, but it's pretty easy to find. And now we will download the Linux Git repository. Hopefully, if I've done this correctly. Yes, I have. Still learning Git. Alright, so that's going to take a while. I'll be back when it is completed. Okay, now that we have downloaded the Linux Git repository, we need to cd into it. Then we need to type make Mr. Proper. This just cleans out the file system, make sure there's no extra files in there that shouldn't be in there, that may have been left over or committed by accident. Okay, now that is done, we want to set it up to compile the default configuration. We're not going to use this kernel, so it doesn't matter. So we type make def config. No, yes, config. I got it spelled wrong on my notes. Okay, now we do this. This will just take a little bit. Okay, now that has been completed, we want to time the make. So we time make, and then we're going to do -J4. The J4 is the number of threads you want the compiler to use to compile your program. And now this is just using the one computer, it's just using the master, it's not using the node at all. So we'll do this and see how long it takes. This is going to take a little while, so I'll let this go and be back when it's finished. So the compile has completed, and it took approximately 8 minutes. I think it's what the real time is 8 minutes 16. So that's not too bad. So what we'll do now is do the same thing but with Distcc. Okay, we're back here. I had to do a bit of troubleshooting because I mistyped one of the IP addresses, so the Distcc wasn't actually starting on the node correctly, and that was causing you an error. So if you get any errors, just check all your IP addresses in your settings files just to make sure they're all right. And obviously Google search. If it spits out an error code, it won't start. I'll show you how to check Distcc if it's started or not, but I'm assuming you already know how to do that, so I'll leave it to the last. Alright, so we need to build the Linux kernel again, but with Distcc this time. So we'll do that. Okay, so we need to make Mr. Proper again, and that will get rid of all the garbage files that were made and all the code, all the old stuff that we just made. So it's a real fresh recompile. So then we want to do a make deconfig again, the default configuration. Just take a second. Now we need to do the same command we did before, but with a few minor tweaks. So we go time make -J4, so 4 threads. We could go to 8 theoretically, but we'll just do 4. That's 4 threads per compiler, I do believe, or per node, I do believe. I may be wrong. Then we need to go, sorry, I'm just reading my notes here. Capital CC equals quotation mark Distcc GCC in quotation. That is telling the compiler the make to use Distcc with the GCC, which is the GCC C compiler. The GNU C compiler, sorry. Alright, we hit enter and that should compile multiple. Okay, so as you can see, the time here has dropped. It's went from, I think it was 8 minutes 16 seconds down to 5 minutes 46. Now we could probably get better. Obviously it's going to improve with the more nodes you add in. You're going to start getting bottlenecks with network traffic and whatnot. But also with this -J4, that can be -J8. And what it is, it's not each individual node, it's the total amount of threads that can be used to compile the code base. So if you go -J4, that is split up between all the nodes and all the compiling computers. So as I have 2 here, 2 virtual machines, the master and the node, it's splitting that 4 between the 2. So each one has 2 threads compiling. So if I go J8, that is 4 each way, 4 each node. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add another node that I have prepared, and we're going to do 3 nodes. They're all on the same machine. That won't matter so much. They're only using 2 cores and I have 8. So it shouldn't bother it, and we'll see how much faster we can get that down. I'll be back shortly. So I've set up the second node. So we'll have 3 machines, each using 3 threads to compile. So we'll have a -J9. But what we need to do is do make proper, do a full clean out, and then do make default config. Then come back into here. So time make -J9. So 3 threads each when it divides it up. And then we'll do CC equals quotation mark Distcc GCC in quotation. And time it. Let's go. I'll be back when this is completed. Okay, so that has finished compiling. As you can see, it took roughly 4 minutes 36 seconds to compile. That's about, I think, about a minute off with only 1 node and not 2. Obviously, if you have like 3 nodes, you wouldn't have the local host in there, so it'd be a lot faster because the local host hasn't got to do so much work. It can just do what it needs to do to compile, when all the nodes do all the actual compiling themselves. And I think that may do it for this video. I'll do a quick follow-up video later on, just covering some other little tricks and stuff, like finding out if Distcc is running and stuff, and how to monitor what it's doing in the background. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.